Hello, welcome back to the Voice Spotlight. It is evening for me and my big sis, Belinda Lane. But if you have followed me, if you have followed the Voice Spotlight or VLF Nation, she might not be a stranger to some, but we may be introducing her to others. So this is Miss Belinda Lane, the author for the book that we're going to talk about this evening, which is The Trial of Purpose. So, Belinda, how are you this evening?
I am doing great. It's wonderful. I looked out the window today and saw the ice, and I turned over and smiled because I knew for sure I had retired.
I wish
It's a it's a beautiful thing.
I wish I had did the same thing. But Pastor Phil had other things in mind for us to work today. All right.
Okay.
So again, some folks may know you, others may not. So I'm going to ask the question: who is Belinda M. Lane?
Belinda M. Lane is a person that has, with every situation has come up, has made a decision to forge through those situations, which have made me the person that I am. I always say that in order to, if you're going through something, that's what you need to do is go through it, because going through it is going to make you something different at the end. It's just like putting biscuits in the oven. They go through that heat, but when they come out and they're brown and you put that butter on them, they're good, but they went through something.
Good, good.
So I am a person that have really gone through a lot in my life. I actually left Baltimore in 1983, so I feel like I've been around the states a lot, at least on the East Coast. And I'm, I'm, I'm happy. I'm really pleased with my life. I'm really pleased with the things that I have done, but I'm more excited about the things that I'm going to do.
Okay, okay. So you've been writing for years,
Yeah.
decades.
Yes.
Um, how did that come about? You know, some people end up doing some little things. Some people wanted to be writers all their life. Your personal approach to writing, how did that come about?
I am an image of my father, who was a prolific writer in his own right, but he didn't know how to just forge through with it. He could come up with something on the spot. You could say tree, and he could give you a poem about a tree. You could say water. He would give you a poem about a water. So I my talent, I believe, is just flowed from him. And to me, actually, I found out early that I could write because the day that Martin Luther King um, got killed, assassinated, I was going to Dunbar in Baltimore, and I was the one that wrote the poem that they read on the intercom in regards to that. What that poem is now, I have no clue, because again, at the time I was probably about 17 or something like that. So, and all my teachers told me too that I could write. I did not get my first C in English until I got in college. And I was devastated. And I went to talk to my teacher to ask her, well, what happened? She said, she told me, she said, you are a writer. And what has happened in school for you, your teachers have got caught up in the writing and not how you wrote it. So I had to really hone down in English when I got to college. But all along, I've kind of been just knowing that this is what I'm supposed to do. This is one of my purposes.
Well, that's very good. All right, so I know you. I know your writings very well.
Yes.
And I know some of the questions that I ask are going to be, I know the answers to, but maybe the audience doesn't know the answer to. But I think what struck me right off the bat, Standing on the Edge of Tomorrow is the book that you published before this.
Yes. In 2023.
Right. And I kind of knew where that title came from. This title, I didn't ask you because I wanted to ask you here. Um, The Trial of Purpose. Can you explain that title? Because I have insights that other people may not have, but on this title, I do not.
The trial of purpose is that everyone is born for a purpose. And we're all here for a reason. Now, whether or not we follow through on that reason is not. And the reason I wrote this was because so many people have blamed purpose, following after their dreams, and they have been devastated by it. They have, you know, you got to think about it. The person that's out there homeless on the corner, that was not a dream for them. There was something that happened. I've worked a lot in the homeless shelters as a volunteer, and talking with individuals and hearing their stories. And I'm like, okay, but that was your purpose. But they was like, but it just fell. They don't want to hold on to the fact that they let go. So my this book is on the first part of it is in the beginning is when they are in heaven, and how their names, what their true names are. So I don't know if you want me to go into that part or not.
Um, you can because there's another related question, but you can.
Okay. So their true names was was Dreamer, Victor, and Breakthrough. Those were the names they left heaven with. And we always say, we are spiritual beings coming through earth to go through taking on an earthly experience, a human experience. We're experiencing earth. During their travel, their path, their journey, Dreamer became Waiting for My Dream, Victor became Victim, and Broken Dreamer, that's it, became my dream, and Waiting for My Breakthrough. Those names were created, those were earthly names that they took on in their journey. And the purpose of this book is actually a trial. Purpose is actually on trial. And the thing is to show how they came here, what happened to them, but in the end, to show how each of them was able to reclaim who they were.
Okay.
And they did that by following purpose.
Okay. So again, I'm very familiar with how you write, what you write. Um, and though it's not totally unique, um, in your writings throughout the years, because I think we started to collaborate on a basis with the blog, Friday After Sundown. Um,
Yes.
but like I say, it's not totally unique. I was subjected to it years ago with a set of series of books behind me by Piers Anthony called Incarnations of Immortality, where death was an office, war was an office, time was an office, nature and fate were offices,
Hmm.
including the office of God and of Satan. So I say that rambling to get to the point that you give identities to feelings and emotions, um, and they become the characters that lead either the story or series of stories on how to get there. Um, how did you come to name emotions and feelings and, dreams?
Um, in the Let's see, this was in the early 90s. I worked at Charter Westbrook, which is no longer in Richmond, Virginia, as a counselor. So at and working as a counselor, I began to see emotions as real. Some of the patients that I had, when I talked to them, I could literally see who they were and when they were talking about themselves. So it's really more of a, I guess my book is more of an allegory, where I make words, characters. And that's what happened. I could see, as they begin to explain to me their life. And for me, when people talk to me, I see pictures. I don't see words or whatever. You talk to me, I'm seeing pictures. So when people talk to me, it's like I'm almost sometimes seeing a play or seeing, you know, the character or what they're talking about as a character. And so I was able to do that. Now to tell you, I'm telling you, just the only thing I can say, this is God sent, because I can't even begin to even know almost how I wrote this, you know. And a lot of times when I start writing, there is never an end in mind. I I haven't wrote anything that I think I can think of that I knew how it was going to end. So I may get a word or a phrase or be thinking about something and sitting in my car and looking out the window at the sky, and a word or something drops into me, and I'll take that word and I'll create with it.
So, like I said, I've been privy to your writings and uh, on a granular level because I've read them before they were published on the blog and in um, the book before this. I don't know if I had any input on some of them. I haven't ran across any yet, but I may have. I don't know. Um,
Well, I
so
would
go ahead.
I don't know how, if you want this word to get out or not, but number one, you've been one of my biggest fans, but you have been the one that have encouraged me, because you edit, especially my blogs, you edit all my blogs. And I used to say, and matter of fact, I put it in one of my books, that I would give you a coloring book and then you would get crown and just color it in. So you have been very instrumental in me moving forward. And even when I'm writing, I get excited because I be thinking like, okay, so when Anthony gets this, whoo, you know. So yeah, I
Well,
just want to just say thank you.
well, I appreciate it. It's very easy to get involved in your writing and be excited about it. So we're going to do something here. You've gave the start of the book. Um, do you have something you could read to kind of fuel the fire in somebody that's looking that have not seen the book yet and may want to sample it in some kind of way? Can you give us something from the book?
Yes, I can. Chapter 11 is called No Excuses.
Okay.
And the scene is after this. Okay, let me say this. Destiny is the attorney for purpose. Deception is the attorney against. The jury is the heart of man. Judge is time. So the three characters are now witnesses against purpose. Okay. So this one is called No Excuse, and it's only about, it's not even hardly a page and a half.
Okay, let's hear it. I
Okay.
want people to understand your mode of writing and why. That's another question. I'll hold that one. I want them
Okay.
to hear it from you.
Okay. Deception is sitting in the courtroom alone when he hears the door open and close. The very presence of the one who entered is so stifling that he can hardly breathe. Standing and turning slowly to face the accuser, deception is about to speak when he locks eyes with him and become paralyzed. Defeat is my weapon. I will not allow my own weapon to be used against me, the accuser says with the coldness that sent chills throughout the room. I know, deception said. Don't speak, the accuser cuts him off. Excuses are the poison I give out, he proclaimed in a rage. I have skillfully put excuses in place to always work for me, not against me. Excuses have crippled families, caused men and women to die and not realize their real potential. I have used this poison to cause races to self destruct. And now you want to give me an excuse? Deception feels all the strength leaving him. The accuser turns and moves slowly towards the door. Without looking back, gives his last order. I will not accept another defeat. I have sent the rulers of darkness to surround, waiting for my breakthrough's house tonight, the accuser announced as he walks out of the courtroom. With a chill of his presence lingering, deception gathers up his papers, knowing that the night ahead of him will be long. Thoughts of the continuation of the trial tomorrow morning consumes him as he leaves the courtroom. The door of the courtroom opens again as blessings and miracles who were out of sight behind the witness stand leaves the courtroom behind deception. They heard all that had taken place between deception and the accuser plans for waiting for my breakthrough.
Okay, and I want to remind everybody that blessings and deception, these are all characters that's driving the story along. So you read chapter 11, and in the book it is 31 chapters. So we will just like start in the middle of the book. And I'm going to
Yes.
ask you before we end this that I want to read another chapter a little bit in or
Okay.
somewhat in, because I think anyone who knows your writing will get something out of it. People that don't know your writing will get something out of it too. They just have to open their minds and understand that this is from beginning to end. Now, I know I've read and edited some of your um, writings where I've thought, and I called you a few weeks ago after reading one that I wanted a second part to it. Um, and I think it lended itself to a second part. But we're going to go on a little bit into more. So, and before it even comes up, I'm just going to throw it out there because I know you want me to write. Uh,
Yes, 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 yes.
and I have done some writing for the blog, um, almost adopting your method of writing. I fell back on my old federal instincts and did a set of stories called Tales from the FBI, but it was really, in my FBI, was faith-based investigations. So I'm going to ask you a question that I had to find out for myself. When you write, and you've been writing for a while, how much of you is in the writing? I may have asked this before, but again, for the new people and definitely for the new book, how much of you, and you can give a percentage, you don't have to name a certain character, but how much of you is in your writing?
Definitely broken dreamer and waiting for my breakthrough. Um, that's me, you know. Um, victim is, but in a not in the same sense that victim is in my book, but um, playing life out of a victim's mentality. Uh, so it wasn't hard for me to write the book, and it's so funny because one of my sisters, Diana, especially with my other book, was saying, "I knew every story that was you. I know every story that was part of you." You know, so I do pull from myself. I have I don't know. I would say I lived a crazy life. I haven't lived a life that it's it's been interesting. It's been interesting. So most of what I write, I don't even have to make up. You know, I could just kind of pull out a part of me and look at it and say, okay, let me write about that. Da, da,
Hmm.
da, da,
Hmm.
you know, a lot of things that my poems that I write. Um, I just pull them out of me, out of me, and it's real freeing too because I get to see because most of my writing I try to leave it on a good note, that when I get through with it, that you're up, you know, it doesn't leave you down or it doesn't leave you struggling, it I'm hoping that it motivates individuals to just get up. You can't get through it if you stop. And I remember this, let me throw this in there. When I was living in Richmond, and my parents at the time was living in Fredericksburg. I think they were living in Fredericksburg, but they were like an hour from where I worked. So some days I would go to their house to have dinner with them, spend the night, and then come back, to work. Well, one day when I was going, it was raining so hard. I mean, when I say hard, all the cars had pulled to the side, you know. So everybody's sitting on the roadside. So, the little venture in me, because I'm one of those karate, that's my favorite movie, karate pictures. I'm an action person, totally. I am not a love story person.
Mhm.
And so I'm sitting there, and in my mind, I mean, literally, we had to have our lights blinking so we could see the person in front of us. I say, nobody on the highway. So, hey, so I pulled out on the highway, right? So I'm driving, and this is the honest truth. I had not drove 2 minutes before I drove into sunshine. And I could look back and see the storm. And that's when that has been a driving factor in my life, that if you keep moving, you know, you got to go through it. With, and I was thinking about all the ones that were stopped back there, and some probably had somewhere, that they may need to be immediately, and they were probably frantically making phone calls and say, I'm caught up in this storm and everything, and I'm in sunshine, just going. So that has followed me for years, that again, just keep moving.
Okay. So, um, to be transparent, I develop questions after I read the book or talk to the person and such. So my questions, I have them, available to me. But I've said it before, and that there are times when, in speaking with my guests, another question will come in. And you touched on it briefly, and I'm going to ask you to capitalize on it. And then you touched on a question that's coming just a little bit later, or maybe next. But since some of the stories have, let's just say, roots or seeds of you in them, is writing therapeutic to you? Some people write for
Yes,
different reasons, but because of the way you write, who you write, and the subject matter, is writing therapeutic to you?
it most definitely is. Um, when I am writing, it's just like my whole insides just light up, and I don't want to be vain to say this, and I honestly don't want to be vain, but there are some things that I have written that if my name was not on it, I would not realize I have written it. I don't want to say I go into a trance and write, but there are some things, and especially when I look back like 10, 20 years ago, and I was like, wow, this is good. And I was like, whoa, I wrote this.
Right,
So
right.
um it helps me. It's like what I say, the word is a light, unto my
That's right.
pathway. So it's like a light to me to help me to move because I have, when I say been in traumatic situations in life, I have been in situations that I saw no way out. I have been in situations that I know that you will never convince me that angels are not real. No one will ever convince me that they're not. Because some of the situations I got out of, I I know it wasn't me, you know. I know I had help. I felt the help. So, so
Okay. And I know of a few. Um, so I've asked a question if it's therapeutic to you. Again, I fall back to I know things about your writing and I see them before a lot of people do. So I know for a fact there are lessons in your writing. You and I have spoke about it, but I don't know if ever asked you, have other people come to you and said, "Hey, I read this and it helped me," or "I see me in this," um, or "I see the lesson in this." Have you had any one of your, let's call them fans, come to you and say
Fans.
that?
I've heard it all through my life. Honest, I have. I have had people come to me and say, "Where do you get this from?" Because this is how I was feeling, and this is what I was trying to say. You say what I'm trying to say. So yes, I've had people, even when I, again, this is not trying to pat myself on the back by no means, but even when I was working at the counseling center, they used to call me the preacher lady. Why? I don't know. Maybe because I
They
was
knew your
sneaking them,
dad, they would, but anyway,
maybe because I was sneaking them little testaments,
right.
something like that, maybe. And they would always say, the patients would say, talk to that lady, right? So I would get ones that come to me that weren't my patients. I was like, well, no, I can't. I got to talk to my patients first. So can I share an incident?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So I had this lady that was, we went in her room, we were talking, and she had found out that her daughter had been sexually molested by her uncle, which broke in her mind, in her memory, that the same thing had happened to her, but it had been blocked out all her adult life. And this lady was very prominent in the city, and that's just as far as I'll take that,
Hmm,
right?
hmm.
So we were sitting there. So it's like I'm sitting there and I'm seeing, I'm hearing this word forgive, and I was like, yeah, okay. Sometimes God, I won't say he has to wrestle with me, but sometimes I'm like, okay, this not gonna work right now. So I kept hearing forgive, forgive. So I told her, I said, you're gonna have to forgive. She lost it. Forgive, forgive. This is the honest truth. Her mouth turned up like this. I mean, her this opening was like this. And it's like the form that she took on, I was like, well, okay now. So then I had calmed myself down, right? And immediately I saw a glass in front of me, in my mind now. I didn't actually see the glass, but in my mind. And the glass was full of dirt. And so I'm saying to her what I see. I say, imagine a glass full of dirt. I say, if you pour the dirt out and put water in it, can you drink it? And she go, no, 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 because the way her mouth was just the sort of way it was turned, right? I said, okay. I said, if you wash that glass, all that dirt, get it out and put water in, can you drink it? She said, mm, mm, mm. I said, that's the way life is. Forgiveness is for you. You keep trying to put things in your life and they're being soiled by what has taken place. Forgiveness cleans it out so that when things come into your life, they can grow, they can bloom, they can blossom. And she just broke down. She cried, I cried, you know, she in my lap crying, I'm on her back crying, but she got it. And that's what happens. People are like, I'm not gonna ever forgive. I'm not gonna ever forgive. And I'm like, ooh, you hurting you. So yeah.
I know the struggle. And I think,
Oh, trust me,
right.
it is not easy. No, I'm not, and I am one that can tell you it's not an easy thing.
Yeah, and you know, people know who I am and where I go to church, and I know the struggle is real. As a Christian, we run across that anyway,
Mm-hmm.
because of just who we choose to serve in the faith that we go. It's not an easy road. It's not an easy road.
Right. Right.
So we're going to step away from the book for this question.
Okay,
And
are we going to come back? Because I really do want to highlight my publisher for this book.
we are going to
Oh,
come back.
okay, all right.
And we've had Matthew on, so um, we know Matthew. So,
Yeah.
but and it's not that far off base.
Hmm.
Um, what drives you as an author? Is there a driving force, or is that your safe space? So, and now that wasn't part of my question either. But what drives you as an author, or again, we know it's therapeutic, but is that your safe space? Is that your
I
it's kind of get into forgiving too. I'm just catching vibes. So let me let you answer that before I go any further.
I my spiritual gift is compassion. My number one is like 98, 99. Um, and one of the things I have gone back through, and I've taken the test about 3 or 4 times, and I basically almost kind of answer somewhat differently, and compassion still comes up. I worked at the House of Ruth in Baltimore as a volunteer back in the 70s. I worked as the with the homeless, probably more than any group, working in homeless shelters and talking with them. Uh, I worked in a domestic violence shelter as an employee before I left Georgia. The thing that drives me is when I'm looking at them and I see the change. I mean, I can literally be talking to someone and looking at their eyes, and I can see it. I can see a difference, and that's the compassion part. And I'm like, my goal, especially if I'm in front of those two communities, the homeless and the domestic violence, I always want to leave something of a change. I want them, if it's just one word, if it's just, the lady with the forgiveness, she's going to remember that picture. My goal is because I know what it is to hurt. I know what it is to cry until you can't even say, God, help me. You know, I know what it is to have that kind of pain. And because I do, I can relate when someone else has it, knowing how it feels and knowing one and asking God, what do I do? How do I help? It could be just holding somebody's hand. It could just be, it don't sometimes it don't have to be words. It can be they have a commercial that comes on about kids, young ladies going her first day going to college, and she opens the door and her roommate is in there, and the roommate turns around and looks at her, and they look at each other, then the roommate smiles,
Right,
and then
I've
she
seen that one.
smiles.
Yep.
Yes. So sometimes it's just a smile. you know we don't have to do we don't really have to do a whole lot, but we do need to do something.
That's a good answer. Good answer. So you asked about um, your publisher. But this is book number
Well,
that's been
I'm gonna
published.
say number two. I'm
That's
gonna say
number two. Okay.
I'm gonna say
So
number two.
let's look,
We're
and
gonna
I know
leave
the
it
reason
at
for saying number two.
that.
Okay, so um, let's let's deal with this book
Hmm.
because I know the challenges that are out there. We always say there's a book in a lot of people, or there are businesses in a lot of people. A lot of people like their purpose, their destiny. They just
Hmm.
don't embrace it. So for this particular book, we're not going to go to with the one before this. And one thing
Okay.
I want readers to understand is they get their money's worth. That is that, and
Yeah,
this
that's
one
a good
before it
looking
is
book.
actually thicker, But what were your challenges for this particular book? And then it might go into where Matthew came in at. So,
Okay. Um, Always my challenge is Well, I don't consider it a challenge
Okay.
because
And
I
that's
have someone that is going to be editing for me. And so I just write freely. I don't try to figure, is this a run-on sentence or should I have put a comma here or a semicolon here? I
Mhm.
don't have to worry about none of that. So the there's not really a challenge uh, because I can write freely and then have someone come behind me and do what needs to be done for it to look the way it should look.
Okay, to polish it up. So I actually have one question. I'm just trying to figure out, do I want to ask the question before you read another excerpt or afterwards? And I think I want you to read the excerpt first or the chapter first. Um, like I spoke before, we have 31 chapters. Um, is it 31? Yeah, 31 chapters as we move through the book. So, again, I want to whet their appetite with this. And like I said, I don't care who's listening. I'm telling you, if you read this, embrace it for what it is. You're going to, one, enjoy it. Two, you may have to go back over it and find out what it is actually saying because I know for a fact, even as the ones that I edit, sometimes I will go over that for that third edit before I clean it up to you and see something different or feel something different. So this is going to be something that they're going to embrace. So let's give another chapter and then I'll ask my last question and then we'll go from there.
Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read the beginning.
Okay.
Okay. Dreamer, broken dreamer, and Victor was about to embark on their earthly adventure. They had been called into God's heavenly throne room. Upon their entrance, an angel positioned behind each of them accompanied them, with additional angels present on either side them, and before them stood faith, wisdom, and truth. The divine pronounced the beginning of their earthly journey. I provide each of you with the instruments needed to give humanity a renewed sense of purpose. Humanity's adversary is attempting to bring about a global destruction through spreading despair. Their self destruction behavior stems from a sense of meaninglessness in their lives and the lives of others. As God surveys the room, he adds, each of you will have an angel assigned to you who will be a part of your earthly experience. I have also assigned a host of angels that will be in and out of your lives during various periods of your earthly journey. Before you are faith, wisdom, and truth, operating under the guidance of the Holy Spirit. Each of the three individuals has different questions, and God's answered them, revealing that they will begin their new journey that will change the course of humanity. After departing from God, he observes each person their, aware they possess the future of humankind. They are in their designated posts, ready to enter the physical realm. Data on parents, birth dates, social economics, backgrounds are all in place. Once they depart the invisible realm, for the visible realm, they will have no memory of the invisible realm. Their discord will be the divine or their appointed associates. Over the course of their lives, they will encounter the invisible world. The way they navigate their path will have either positive or negative life altering consequences. In the most unexpected place, all three will meet regarding their tasks on earth. Do you understand that chance did not bring you into being, but a planned or unplanned event did? Your parents brought you into this world. Regardless of the decisions that brought you to this point, you have a purpose to fulfill. Are you still searching for your purpose? For those of you who have found their purpose, I appreciate and give you a positive impact that you have made on this world. Thank you. If not, use this as a starting point now that you understand your worth and have a purpose within you.
So you made a good choice, and I think it was a very good choice. Um, to let them know how and what the book is about, because we gave them a little bit. Um, but I am going to add one thing here. Like we said in the, let's say you have two books. We know other stuff. But and a quick breakdown of the book before this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think my lights are washing it out. Standing on the edge of your tomorrow. So give us a quick, there it is. That's better than my lighting. Give us a quick synopsis of that one, just in case they want to pick up the previous book.
Okay, the first story is about my life in the 70s. And I always have to add, I'm not that person now because it's something. But that's, and I decided to do short stories because we're in a microwave society now. So rather than giving somebody something to read and they have to come back and finish reading and get back to it, I gave short stories. The second story is Homeless John. We, I, the most of the people that I meet in homeless situations are vets, and a lot of them are from the Vietnam and Desert Storm vets. Honestly, no one that have served our country should be in a homeless situation.
Exactly.
No one, you know. So my story is I'm telling how homeless John became homeless. So I'm starting from the beginning of his life, taking him through, and most of my stories are like 3 or 4 pages long. And then I have like poems in the end. One of them is about I have to take it like a man. And I was in a group working at the Department of Social Service in Richmond, and we had the lunch buddy program. And my supervisor came back in the office messed up. Now she was the type of person, she was like, you know, I won't say she hard, but she don't take no stuff, you know. She was messed up. She went to her office and she just boohooed. Finally got her stuff together, came out and told us they had came. Now this was elementary school. Police had came in and arrested her lunch buddy person, and she almost got arrested because you know she went off,
Right, right.
but she couldn't understand why they would do that at lunchtime in front of all the school like that, you know. So those are stories, you know, that I'm writing. Also, I have spiritual warfare stories to really help us to see how our angels and how heavenly beings are helping us here on earth. And so normally when someone buys my book, I ask them a few questions to find out where they are in life. And sometimes I tell them, I say, I need you to start middle way. I need you to start at the no weapon form against us, you know. Then I have ones that in domestic violence. I have 4 stories in there about domestic violence, you know, situations. So I try to reach out to some of the things in community that we need to get straight. I try to reach out to help people to understand. And one of my stories is that that I wrote in there was so often, especially in helping women in domestic violence situations, people give up on them, you know, not understanding that they are trying with everything they can to get out of that situation. But there's no inner strength. So a lot of times family will move on because he's like, well, look, I don't told them what to do. I don't told them they can come here and stay. I don't tell them this and that. You know, yeah, but you said that, but then a lot of times he is going to follow wherever she goes, you know. And when children are involved, they it's just not hard to it's hard sometimes to pick up and leave when children are involved.
Right,
And most women do not leave until he started abusing the children.
right. True, true.
Mhm.
So, okay. So we're hoping that after they read the trial on purpose, like I'm predicting they will, they might want to go back and buy Standing on the Edge of Your Tomorrow.
And I would
So
appreciate
yeah, I
it.
would too since I had input. But we're going to go back to trial.
Okay.
What would you want? And this is the last question.
Hmm.
What do you want the takeaway to be for someone who reads this from beginning to end?
That even though life may be hard, I just believe my destiny is already, um, planned out. I just, again, my whole thing is keep moving. That no matter what happens, don't allow people to label you. Don't allow people to put you in a box. So often we are, and actually, I'm saying this, and I'm gonna go ahead and say it anyway. I'm working on one called eviction, and and with that, I mean, those things that are in my head, it's time for them to go. You know,
Okay.
so I'm gonna start. So that's it. They're taking room up in my head. And I read this book called "The Body Keeps Score." Say
Okay.
this real quick. And in that, a gentleman, this was back in when they had the horse and buggies, okay? And there was a terrible accident, and the 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 wheel came off. It threw the man off. The wheel came off of the carriage, and just before he blinked out, he saw the wheel coming right to his leg, getting right there and roll over his leg, and he blinked out. But someone grabbed the wheel before it hit his leg. When they got him to the hospital and everything, because of what his mind saw, he never walked again because he thought it had hit his leg. I don't care how much they try to convince him it didn't hit your leg, whatever, but that's what his mind captured. And because that's what his mind captured, he never walked again. So there are so many things in our life that have captured our mind, that have made us paralyzed, that we can't walk. We can't talk. And most of those things are from other people.
Wow.
So we have other people in our head running our lives.
Yeah, and again, knowing your stories and where they are, we've talked about this at length sometimes on this. So, um, I'd like to thank you for showing up for this spotlight.
Thank you
I
for
didn't
asking
I'm going to do something that some people are going to question. Well,
me.
really quick. People that know me know I have a very distinct lineage. I have my biological family. Um, and in my 20s, Andrew Brinkley stepped in and made me a man, the man that I used to be. But it was your father, your mother, you, my brother Donnell, who has passed on, Zelda and Diana, that adopted me from the next door neighbor into the family. I got treated as a family member. I got yelled at. I did get beatings, but I've gotten yelled at for some of the things I've done and such. But it was your dad, your mom, that started me on my path of faith. So they're not here for me to thank. I'm going to thank you for them, because people would say, how many family members does he have? But from that faith, um, uh, your dad and your mom started me on that way. I think I was seven, maybe 6 or 7 then,
Okay.
up to my teens, and then I went through my life, and Andrew Brinkley furthered it on, and I actually bounced after. Um, um, you guys, well, after mom and dad moved away, I bounced from churches to church and church till I ended up at St. Stephen's under Pastor Gray, and he whipped that back up into me. So I'm just a mishmash of different people that have made me the person I am today. So again, I thank you for being here. I thank you for letting me play some small purposes or changes. So let's use the word
Oh,
purpose
thank
as
you.
as we've been working and we've done some good stuff together. We've done some good stuff together. But I am looking at you now. You're coming into, it's really weird. You're coming into your own later where you,
Hmm.
like you say, now you can just freely write and just, get the polishing done later because I know the thoughts hit your head. I know that from the stuff that I did with you and the blog. Um, we'll see where we take that at. I'll pick it up every now and then. I'll tell you, I'll pick it up every now and then.
Ah,
Because we did not, actually, it did not finish. There is a book two to what we did on the blog. So
mhm.
I'll see, you
Well,
know.
I have things that I can start sending you because, like I say, I want to do a book of poetry. I have poetry everywhere, in my different, like say in my Stand on Tomorrow book. So I really want to do a book with just nothing but my poetry in it. So you'll be you'll be getting some.
Well, no problem. You know, I'm down here every night, up to midnight every night. So, yeah, we can do this again. So, again, I
Mhm.
thank you. I appreciate you. I will be giving at the end of this, I'll give our viewers a way to um, purchase both books. And if they want to get in touch with you, you are back in the Northeast. You're up in Pennsylvania, so
Yes,
if someone in the Baltimore
it's
area
cold
wants you to
here.
come, yeah, it's cold
I
here.
didn't buy a coat till like literally.
Oh
For those who
wow!
don't know, I've been in Georgia. I've been down south for many a years, and I had to buy a coat, and I'm like, oh my Lord.
Yeah,
And then this morning when I looked out there and saw that ice, I said, oh, whoa.
yeah. I've been walking every morning. I didn't walk this morning, and Panetta said, "You're not trying to walk in this," and no, no, no. But it's working. It's working. So again, I thank you. We will be in touch for projects as far as family
Okay.
stuff as well. So again, I thank you.
Okay.
All right, we'll talk
My
with you soon.
pleasure.
All righty.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye bye.